All right, so like imagine Ukraine being pressured to give up land to Russia so they can have peace. I mean, it sounds like something out of a history book, right?
Yeah, you'd think so.
But it's like front page news right now.
Seriously?
We are diving into some pretty intense news articles about, well, they're saying it could be a major turning point in the whole Russia-Ukraine war. Peace talks.
Peace talks.
And guess who is involved?
Let me guess.
Former President Trump.
Wow. Okay, so that is definitely a twist.
Yeah. And the details, well, they're raising some eyebrows. Like, serious concerns here.
Yeah, I mean, when you have something like this announced, and it's former President Trump saying that he and Putin have agreed to direct their teams to, hammer out some kind of peace deal.
Immediately.
And that they're planning on meeting in person. I mean, that is like a huge shift.
Right.
In U.S. foreign policy. Like, where are we going with this?
And it's not just about politics. I mean, this is about, well, everything. The future of Ukraine.
Yeah.
I mean, the balance of power, like in all of Europe.
Right.
And what this even means for, I don't know, how other countries deal with each other. It's like a really big deal.
It is a big deal. And there's so many different perspectives on this.
Right.
So, okay. First of all, you have this announcement coming right on the heels of this prisoner swap, remember?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The American teacher, Mark Fogel.
Yeah.
He was released by Russia after being held for like 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
In exchange for this Russian, he was a crypto criminal, I think.
Oh, right.
Alexander Vinnik. So was that like a coincidence? Or was it a sign that, maybe things are starting to thaw a little between Russia and the U.S.?
It's hard to say.
It's really hard to say.
But it does make you think, for sure.
For sure. And then, I mean, you have Trump himself. He's going on social media, and he's basically saying that he and Putin, they both recognize that it would benefit everyone if they could work together.
Mm-hmm.
And, saying that their main goal is to stop the war and save lives.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds good on the surface. Like, who doesn't want peace?
Right.
But, like, is it really that simple?
That's the big question. And I think that's where people start to get concerned. Like Sir Keir Starmer over in the UK, he basically said their support for Ukraine is not going to change.
Okay.
No matter what. And then you have other politicians straight up calling this whole thing a potential betrayal of Ukraine. Like, they are using some strong words.
Yeah.
And they're bringing it up what happened to Poland after World War II.
Right.
How Poland was basically abandoned.
Yeah.
And they're saying this could be the same thing.
Wow.
So it's a really sensitive issue. And I think that's why people are so worried.
Totally. It's like, on the one hand, you have people saying this is a chance for peace. And on the other hand, you have people saying, wait a minute, what's the cost of this peace?
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah.
Is this a genuine step in the right direction? Or is this like a gamble?
Yeah, exactly.
A dangerous gamble. And then there is NATO.
Oh, yeah. Let's not forget about NATO. This adds a whole other layer of complexity. You have people like Nigel Farage. He's over in the UK, and he's basically saying any peace deal absolutely has to include Ukraine joining NATO. Like, that's non-negotiable for him.
Okay.
But then on the flip side, you have U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and he's suggesting that Ukraine might have to give up on the idea of getting back the territory they lost back in 2014.
Oh, wow.
And they might have to forget about joining NATO. So, I mean, talk about conflicting viewpoints, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, where do we even go from here? It's like everyone is trying to make sense of this.
Right. And I think one of the things we need to do is look at this from a historical perspective,
Yeah.
The parallels to Poland after World War II are really concerning. Like, imagine being a Ukrainian citizen right now,
Yeah.
And you are facing the possibility of your land being used to make a deal with Russia. What would you want to see happen?
I mean, I can't even imagine.
It's a really tough situation.
It is. And then you add the Kremlin's view into all of this.
Right.
Dmitry Peskov, he's basically the voice of the Kremlin.
Mm-hmm.
He confirms that, yep, the Trump-Putin call happened,
Yeah.
and Ukraine was the main topic. And Putin, he's saying we have to look at the root causes of this conflict.
The root causes.
Yeah, things like historical tensions, they're like all the stuff that's been simmering for years.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the whole issue of NATO expansion. Putin sees that as a threat.
Right.
And, security concerns, obviously, and Peskov saying that Putin agrees with Trump that they need to find a peaceful way to end this. But it's like, can we really trust that? I mean, what are their real motives here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Like, we have to look beyond just what they're saying and think about what might happen.
Mm-hmm.
If Ukraine gives up land, what does that mean for their future?
Yeah.
Can they actually be safe? And what kind of message does that send to other countries out there? Like, if you are a smaller country and you are facing a threat from a bigger country, it's like, does this mean you just have to give in? It sets a pretty scary precedent.
Yeah, no kidding. This is a lot to think about.
It is, and it's so much bigger than just politics. It's about the future of Ukraine, like we said, but it's also about, the whole balance of power in Europe and what this means for relationships between countries all over the world.
It's like a ripple effect. And it really highlights this idea that peace doesn't always come easy.
Yeah. Sometimes there's a price to pay.
Right. But is it a price that Ukraine should have to pay? And should they be the ones to decide?
Exactly. Those are the questions we all need to be asking as this unfolds. I mean, there's still so much we don't know.
Totally. It's a developing story. So much to think about.
So much to think about.
Thanks for diving in with us today. We will, of course, keep you updated as this story develops.
Absolutely.
Until then, keep those questions in mind.
No.
And remember, peace is complicated.
It really is.
All right. We will see you next time.
See